Hello everyone, this is Andrew from the Inspire project, and today I've got a super easy and fun science experiment that you can try at home. Chromatography is a way of separating out the different components of a mixture. It's based on the idea that components will move on different speeds depending on what size of molecule they are. Chromatography is used by scientists in fields like forensics and food testing. There are lots of different types of chromatography, some of which involve specialist machines. However, today we're going to be doing it using only paper and water. We're going to use the process to look at the different colour pigments that are mixed together to make the ink in colour felt tip pens. For this experiment, you will need paper kitchen towel, plain white. If it's got any pattern on it, then the ink in that pattern will flow and mess up with the ink we are testing, so it needs to be plain. A pair of scissors, a glass or cup, preferably clear, so that you can see what's going on inside it, but if not, it'll work just the same. It'll just be a bit harder to see until you take it out at the end. It doesn't matter if it's a tall one or a short one. I'm going to use the tall one because it's a bit easier for me to show you in the video. A selection of felt tip colour pens to test with, and some water. So the first thing we're going to need to do is take one sheet of our kitchen paper, and then taking the glass, we're going to measure so that it's just a little bit narrower than the bottom of the glass. It's going to need to fit inside, so we cut all the way up. And then we'll see it's just a little bit narrower than the glass and fits inside just fine. You'll probably want to cut a few of these strips for doing different tests. If you're using a shorter glass and the bit sticking out the top is too much, gets in the way, just cut it off, and you see it's much more convenient. So for the first test, I'm going to take one of our strips and two different colour pens. I've got a red and a blue here, doesn't matter. So the first colour, we're going to want to leave at least a good finger's width above the bottom of the paper, and then put a big, well, not too big, but a decent sized splodge of ink onto the paper. And then taking our other pen, we're going to want to make sure that we leave a gap, at least 2 fingers. Ooh, got a bit on my finger there, but we want to leave a nice gap between this splodge and the other dot, because they will spread sideways slightly as well, and you don't want them to run into each other. So there we go. We've got our paper with the gap between the bottom and the ink's separated nicely. Next, we're going to take our glass and put a little bit of water in the bottom. We only need about a centimetre deep. So in it goes. Normal tap water is perfectly fine, don't need anything else. A tad more than that. There we go. So now, as you can see, we've only got just about my thumb's width in there, and if we take our paper, we can see that the water level is lower than the 2 ink dots. So now we'll take our strip of paper and put it into the glass. You want the bottom of the paper to just touch the water. You don't want the ink dots themselves to go into the water. And you'll see, as the water absorbs up the paper towel, the ink goes with it. Now, you don't want it to fall back in, so it might be easier to pop a little paper clip on the top just to hold it in place while you're waiting. You can see that as the water moved up the paper, it took the ink with it. We left enough space between them so they haven't run into each other, but they do go sideways a bit, as you can see. Once it's run as far up the paper as you think it's going to, which I think is about there, we can take it out very carefully because the wet paper is going to be quite delicate. Nice and gently, and then we can put it down on a waterproof surface. So what can we tell from this? Well, as I said, it's about separating out the different components of the ink. So on the blue side, you can see that there's much lighter colours at the top, whereas the darker blue has remained lower down. On the side where we have the red dot, you can see that at the bottom it's very pink, whereas as you go further up, you get an orange area. So we can see that the colour of the red ink was probably made with a mixture of pink and orange. So we can give it another go with some different colours. This time I've got purple and green. So one dot and the other dot. And again, you'll see we've made sure to leave a good gap between the bottom of the paper and also between the two dots. So I'm going to use the same water again. I've still got enough in there and it's still clean. If it does get a bit of ink in it, no problem, just change the water. Dunk it in. Again, just the bottom, not the ink dots into the water. And as the water rises up the towel, the ink goes with it. So we'll speed it up a little bit for a minute. And now you can already see, even in this short time, the pink, we've got a little blue fringe just on the top. It's not that clear on camera, but I can see it better here. And on the green side, you can see the blue round the top. So we'll speed it up till it's done. And that looks about as far as it's going to go. So again, take it out nice and carefully. So on this one, we can see on the green side we've got a dark blue round the bottom, a greenish middle section, and lighter blue at the top. And on the purple, we've got a quite bright pink area around the bottom with a light blue area at the top. You can kind of see the purple in the middle where the two have mixed together. So this purple ink was made of pink and blue mixed together, which makes sense if you think about paints and stuff. So the other thing that's interesting to do is to two pens of the same colour but different makes. So here I've got two black pens, one from the same set as the other colours I was using, and this black pen from a different set. So now they both look black on the paper, as you'd expect, both the same colour, nothing surprising. But if we put it in the water, we can immediately see the one on the left has a kind of brown colour, whereas the one on the right is much more blue. A couple more tests for you, a light blue and pink, and then this one is yellow and orange. Right, so here are all the tests. Some of them have had a bit of a chance to dry. So on the green and purple that we did earlier, now it's dry, you can see much more clearly the difference between the pink and the little blue bit on the top from the purple, and on the green side even more so, you can see the separation out between the blues and greens. And that's the yellow and orange one, which I did just now. You can see on the orange side, you've got kind of pinky colours towards the bottom, through the orange, and yellow at the top. So you've got kind of that mixture again. And you can see that the yellow is the same yellow as the plain yellow. So why not give it a go at home? You should be able to see the colours much more clearly than you can on the recording. You can try out lots of other different pens to see how they turn out. and the patterns it makes are quite pretty as well. And it's super easy to do.